Happy Monday, everyone. It's 6 p.m. and we are live from Precision Golf. We're back another week.
Another big tournament.
Oh, goodness. Ryan Fox.
Impressive.
Should we open up, laying into Rory McIlroy? Or should we just...
You do that most weeks, so we'll probably give it that one a miss. I was going to say, what can everyone watching learn from Ryan Fox's swing?
How to hold off a really hook face.
Brute strength.
Brute strength.
Yeah.
We've got a really exciting guest this week. Another shaft tech man from Nippon. Someone that you know well, and obviously with the trade show.
Yeah, so James and I've known Hero for 18, 19 years. One of the nicest gentlemen in the industry, and someone that we couldn't find an image of, hence the secret guest. So he's done an incredible job at keeping him under the radar online.
Hasn't he just?
Very impressive.
Probably one of the only people in the world that they'd have to do that.
No internet footprint whatsoever.
I'm just hoping that Harry is going to be nice to me because of my lack of knowledge from the club shafts.
He's used to that from days stood out in the trade show at the demo day talking about nothing in particular to many hundreds of people.
Well, let's get Haru on. Haru from Nippon, welcome along to our Monday Night Live.
Good morning, Stuart. Good morning, Simon. Good morning to James. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for this chance to speak with everybody.
So it proves how international it is, because to us it's good evening, and to Hero he's just got up.
Sorry, good evening. Sorry about that. That's right.
Of course, as usual, we are taking all questions for Haru on club shafts, anything to do with anything with Nippon or club shafts. Maybe we'll clip a few as well, but we obviously welcome your questions as usual. We've got the chat up in front of us. So, Haru, tell us a little bit about your role at Nippon.
So, as Simon just alluded to earlier, I've known Simon and James for about 20 years. And during that time, I've been sales and marketing for Nippon Shaft United States. I try to look over the U.S. OEM side of the market, obviously with some assistance on our side over here, as well as the Japan team. But again, we look at the OEM or club fitter side here in Carlsbad, California, as well as the aftermarket and also tour operations to try to support the tour players that we have playing for the ladies tours and men's tours, mainly in the United States, but also globally.
I think it's been, for Nippon as a brand, over the last, well, I guess the modus as a shaft has been out actually probably longer than we all think, but such a huge, I think, explosion in awareness of Nippon as a brand over the last probably 10 years or so. But in terms of going back way before, where did Nippon start?
So Nippon Shaft originally was established in 1959 as a heat treatment facility for our parent company called NHK Spring, which was established in 1939. So in 1959, the president of NHK Spring at that time was a big golf fan, and in 1957, I believe, the golf World Championship just occurred in Japan and was a surprise winner. And so through that interest and through that excitement, the president at that time wanted to make his own golf shafts. So back in 1959, because golf shafts are essentially golf springs. So it just fit in well with our parent company's product lineup, adding another spring-like product within their spring catalog. So 1959 was the established date, and then I'm jumping ahead, but I believe, Simon, you may be alluding to 1999 when we released our NS Pro 950GH, which has become our most popular and the world's lightest, most successful lightest steel shaft on the market.
I think that's certainly what we certainly started working with Nippon with the lighter weight steels, so the 850, the 950, 1050, which relative to tall weight shafts that are sort of understood more 120 grams plus, to be down 100 grams or less. From an engineering point of view was great. And actually for us dealing with amateurs was a huge part of the market. But for Nippon as a brand over the years, for the PGA Tour side of things, that's been such a big deal to where you are now to get more involved in that side of the industry.
Yes, we again started to go out on the pro tours in 1999, 2000 after release of the 950 GH. However, the 950 GH was a product that may have been too light, too soft for the men's market. So we started off with the ladies LPGA tour in the United States, and then expanded across the global women's tours. However, the Modus models that you alluded to were took a little bit of time to develop, and we first went out on tour, men's tour, in 2009, and released the first of the Modus products, the Modus Tour 120, in 2010. So after about a year of R&D out on tour, we were happy to release that Tour 120, and since then we've released 5 different other models since.
I mean, I say everyone's, people are familiar with the graphite shafts having lots of different materials and layering and the sort of versatility that the composites give. And obviously with the Ghost shaft, you've got a graphite on top of steel, so using multi-materials in that respect. But within steel as a material, how versatile a product is it?
So I think we'll have to go back to the 950 GH. Again, the NS Pro 950 GH is about 94.5 in the regular flex, constant weight, discrete length model. So that was the first sub 100 gram constant weight product that was released on the market. To develop the 950 GH, we had to develop a new higher strength spring-like steel material to be able to get to that lighter quality or a lighter weight, as well as be able to maintain the durability and strength. So in terms of materials, we've developed 3 different types of materials. So again, the one that was made for the 950 GH, and then our newer models, such as the NS Pro Zelos, which is at 68.5 grams, overtook the 950, 750 as the lightest steel shaft. And so the NS Pro Zealous models are designed with a proprietary formulation that we came up with, is also a high alloy or a specialty steel, spring steel type quality product. And with the Zealous materials, we're able to get lighter and softer due to the higher strength of the materials. So materials are always something that we look to develop and kind of try to expand our capabilities with new technologies.
Is there a direction that Nippon prefer in terms of working with lady tour players or men? Is there a direction that you focus more in?
We don't necessarily look at the ladies' tours or the men's tours, but it's just what product fits each type of players. And so with 68.5 grams all the way up to 129.5 grams, we feel like we can fit not only ladies or men's players or junior or senior players, but mainly it's more about slower swing speed players to faster swing speed players with that product mix that we have.
Yeah, because I think as a brand, you cover, I mean, a real engineering feat to get down to a sub 70 gram steel shaft all the way up to the 130. So in terms of having a line of products or a series of different models within the brand, you can really get across any golfer type, any kind of swing speed, almost physical strength. I think, say, the Zelos, the 6, which is sub 70 grams, the walls are so thin. And to get steel to that kind of weight and have some resistance and resilience, it must have taken a lot of development.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in our manufacturing. Again, we are a subsidiary of the world's largest spring manufacturer, mainly in the automotive industry. However, we do steal quite a bit of techniques and knowledge from our parent company. So our plant, we feel, is the most repeatable, reproducible manufacturing process in the golf industry. So we're very proud of our low reject rate. In fact, we try to follow a 0 defect type of a manufacturing process. And we are able to, again, be able to repeat our process and be able to come up with, I believe, the most consistent products in terms of tolerances and other specifications.
What did you feel was the relevance of getting the weight of the shaft that low for those people out there that don't maybe understand the importance and relevance of getting a really lightweight steel shaft?
Well, our company philosophy, well, one of our company philosophies is to play steel for life. And the 950 GH came out in 1999. So the Zelos 6 came out around 2018 or 2019. So 20 years later, the 950 GH players were 20 years older, and they still wanted to play with something still steel. And so we have other products lighter than the 950 GH, but some of those players wanted something truly a little bit easier to swing, something a little bit more fuller flexing for a higher ball flight and spin type of performance. So the Zelos products were a natural type of an extension or a offering for those type of players, again, who are looking for something light but wanted to stay with steel.
Because you've utilised with the 750 shaft, the sort of graphite, bit of a graphite cage, graphite weave on the butt end of the shaft for more stability, and then, as I said earlier, the ghost shaft, which is a steel core with a graphite covering. And with that use of the graphite as well, what in particular are you looking to develop with that?
So the use of the graphite wrapped tech on the 750 GH was due to, quite honestly, limitations of the material. So the 750 GH was developed with the material called SAE 8655, which is not that interesting, but that is the base material that we use for our Modus products, our NS Pro products. However, with that material, we weren't able to get lighter than 78 grams. So that is where we started our development for the Zelos materials, something, again, a little bit lighter weight, but stronger and stronger, higher tensile material to be able to get lighter. So therefore, the weave, it was unnecessary once we developed the material for the Zelos 7. And even though the 750 GH and the Zelos 7 are very similar weight, they are two very unique products structurally, as well as different types of player categories looking for a lightweight product. In regards to the NS Pro Modus Hybrid with the graphite on steel technology, the graphite and steel, that model is truly, it's a hybrid shaft, but it's hybrid in the sense that it's hybrid of both the best qualities of the steel material as well as the graphite material. So graphite will give it the consistent feel and performance, whereas graphite material can give you the dampening features as well as a little bit more extra flexibility that you find in true 100% graphite type products.
We've just had a question in from one of our viewers. Any chance of more blackout Modus shafts soon? Thanks, Kevin.
At this point, we have put that process on hold. We are trying to develop different types of finishes. However, I'm sorry, at this time, we do not have any plans.
It was actually, because the finish side of things is always unlimited runs, whether it's a white or a green. Over sort of COVID years, I know the finishes were certainly something that suffered. Is that something that would be likely to be kind of the limited run side of things? Because I know that the longevity of some of those finishes and whether it's a darker chrome or a kind of rubberized finish can be difficult to get longevity out of.
There is some, yes. Those shafts that you referred to, Simon, are some of our limited models in the past, which were painted over steel. However, we're trying to move past that and try to develop different types of chromes to avoid any type of chipping or any type of durability issues on that. So that's where, again, nothing is immediately on the table to release for the market. So we will keep you in charge, or we will let you know if anything comes up soon.
Who's your poster boy on the PGA Tour or Lail PGA Tour, Hero?
Well, our brand ambassador is Ms. Kari Webb. We are so proud to be working with her for close to about 15, 17 years now. And you can't get much better than Ms. Kari Webb. So we're very proud of our relationship with her. And as far as other players, unfortunately, as you may know, I can't really release any names, but usually on the PGA or on the men's side, we are roughly second or third on the count on a weekly basis. And on the LPGA or the women's global tours, we're pretty strong number one in the back of most players out there.
and not wishing to push you on this, is there a reason why the players or yourselves can't share who are using your products?
Well, we basically have contracts with 3 players. And so, again, I mentioned Kari Webb, a couple of players on the Japan Tour, Yuta Ikeda. And unfortunately, if we do not have a contract, it's just not something that we feel comfortable as far as releasing a player's name, just for their protection as well as ours. However, you can see photos of players using our products with the Modus logo very visibly shown. So again, sorry, Stuart, but I can't do it.
No, it's brilliant. No, I think as you'll appreciate, Hiro, I'm very lacking in the sharp technology. Hence, my questions are a little primary. But I think from an interesting perspective, why you have obviously really good values, not wishing to shout out players when they're not necessarily being paid or under contract with yourself. So I think it just shows utter respect from someone like yourself and your company that wouldn't wish to piggyback on the back of a player that's using your product. I think it's absolutely commendable.
Well, I think that's a common policy in the golf industry, especially amongst component shaft manufacturers such as us. However, again, we are very appreciative and thankful for the players playing our products. So, again, we don't want to cause any issues whatsoever.
I think, as you alluded to earlier, Nippon's always been known, certainly for us, in terms of building with the products, so how consistent and how tight of tolerances there are on the shafts. Not that you can give away any trade secrets, but what is it in particular, if you can say anything, that allows Nippon to be so good with those tolerances?
So I believe our manufacturing processes as well as the machinery are top of the line, top in the class. And so we follow a quality assurance manufacturing system versus a quality control manufacturing system. So the big difference between quality control is basically you'll produce products, and at the end you'll do an inspection of the products that were produced, and through a sorting process, you will release the products that are in tolerance, or scrap the products that are not within tolerance. Our processes are more quality assurance in that there's about maybe 20, 25 major steps to manufacture a golf shaft. And within each of those processes, we have in-process controls, meaning that we can stop production at one of those 20 plus processes and isolate the issue of where we find any problems. So we can stop the production at the tubing process, or the heat treatment, or one of the heat treatment processes, or the stepping processes, and then isolate the issue, fix it, and then before we proceed with the final production, is to stabilize that out of control procedure or process. Once it is stabilized, then we can continue on with production. So we feel that if we can isolate the issue during the process instead of at the end of the process, the shafts that are produced are at the end not controlled or not sorted for good or not good, but more sorted for just validating the quality of the tolerances, as well as the visual, as well as the other aspects of the shaft. So a little bit long-winded, but I think we can control each step of the process before it gets rejected.
We've got a couple of great questions come in from our audience, Hiro. Andy Corso asks, love Nippon shafts to start with. Can you explain the differences between the wedge shafts and the standard at the same weight? Is it a softer flex?
Thank you, Andy, for the kind words. Well, our Modus wedge shafts are specifically designed for wedge products. Every one of our iron models do have a specific length designed for wedges. Now, specifically the Modus wedge shafts, they're designed to promote a lower overall peak trajectory with higher spin rates. And we have the Modus wedge at 3 different weights. The raw weights are 111, 122, 133. So as Simon can probably attest to this, wedges are very personalized. So there's really no true answer to what works best for the player unless they go through a little bit of trial and error. So our standard answer for most players is to play the same wedge shaft in their wedges as they do in their iron shafts. However, if they're looking for just a slightly different performance, again, a lower ball flight with a little bit more spin rate, then we would maybe encourage them to look at the Modus wedge products and at a weight that's comparable to what they feel most comfortable with.
Fantastic answer. And we have one more for you from David Edwards. He asks, what are the flight characteristics of the Modus Tour 130 versus the DG?
Dynamic gold.
Dynamic gold.
Thanks for the question. The Modus Tour 130 is designed with a firm handle, a very firm midsection, and a softer tip section. In comparison with what you just mentioned, the DG, the Tour 130 should promote a little bit of higher launch and a little bit of higher overall peak trajectory, but the spin rates may be comparable with each other. We have quite a few players on the tour. Sorry, I can't mention the names again, but very stronger type players that have been playing the Tour 130 very successfully. Again, this is not an exact answer, but we found that some more aggressive type players or aggressive swingers, later release players, might benefit from a firmer handle, firmer midsection shaft. And that's some of the tour players that are playing the Tour 130 have that type of characteristic in their swing.
You might not be able to mention them, but I'm going to mention that Paul Casey and Garcia have used the 130s quite a lot over the years. So Hero hasn't said anything, it's me. And obviously Henrik Stenson used the 120s.
Right.
And I always thought the latter was a slightly surprising choice for someone who's got such a strong move. But I think that's just testament to the stability of the design of the 120s, which are more tip stable versus the 130s, which are butt stable.
So the Tour 120 players, again, not necessarily a fixed answer for this, but maybe some of the successful Tour 120 players have a mid to kind of an early release type of a swing, as well, more of a smoother type of a release. And so the Tour 120, Tour 130 are quite the opposite in terms of the designs. And it seems like the results of the player types as well.
Well, fantastic. I mean, I know I've learned more in these two interviews last 2 weeks with yourself and Fujikawa, more than I've done probably in the last 20 years. So from a personal perspective, I've really enjoyed hearing your thoughts and sharing your knowledge, Hero.
Well, again, I really appreciate you taking time or letting me have time with your audience to speak about us. And yeah, anytime I have an opportunity, please let me know. And
we would love to have you back on. I think in the future, maybe a Christmas special.
Well, maybe, or if not before, we'll certainly, James and I will certainly be out in Orlando again, so we'll have to get you for a video sometime and do something either live on the range if you're demo day or in a conventional with a cup of coffee.
Well, I look forward to the opportunity, and I in fact, maybe hopefully next time I could be in audience or live in the studio with you guys. It's been a while since I saw you, so would love to have a chance to see you guys again.
Fantastic. Well, you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Here,
thank you. Here. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Well, more insights.
More insights. I mean,
but the knowledge, my knowledge is growing on the shaft tech by the week.
So we'll have to do a kind of quiz for you at the end of the series and see how Stuart does.
No, don't.
I'm going to say a very quick hello to young Lilia Brett, who religiously watches and stops her father watching because she gets in the way. And apparently, I'm going to say it's me. It might be you, but I'm going to think it's me.
Well, I want to be the favourite, but if it's Simon, look, you are our favourite. You are our favourite. So let's have a little, see if we've looked at any other questions. Andy Corso says, everyone seems to be releasing graphite putter shafts lately, but NS Pro have releases too.
Yeah, and I think the thing with the graphite, putter shafts are one thing where there's there's not a huge amount of tech that's been involved in it, probably because it's under the least load, there's the least stress on it. But it's something that the graphite manufacturers have, like Chad last week with Fujikura saying it's an area that's a massive area of growth. So for them, it's an opportunity to sell more, and structurally, it's going going stiffer. So the principle is that the stiffer it is, the less deflection of the head, more consistent delivery, more consistent launch and spin and roll. But there is a real difference in the way it swings. So you're moving the weight position. So the feel aspect changes quite a bit. So with steel, because it's a thinner wall, you get a little bit more play and load and feel out the shaft. Whereas the graphite, it's firmer and a bit less feel. But both have merits, and different player styles suit both.
Yeah, I think it was quite interesting. Chad was talking last week about the desire for amateur golfers to change their putter shaft at maybe a cost of $250, which is substantial.
Yeah.
But of course, at tour end, if there is very, very small incremental changes to be had, they will gladly not pay for it and have it in their bag.
Yeah, and you tend to find that the things like the graphite shafts, like the Stroke Lab in Odyssey products, the LA golf shafts, they're very good on that sort of balance. Often works for holing out for short range. When they're putting on greens at 12, 13 on the stim, we're putting on greens at 8 or 9 on the stim. So the payoff comes when you're trying to generate some speed and hit it. And so the balance point change plays into that as well. So there is it's an interesting kind of counterpoint between holing out and then distance control and feel.
Let's move our focus to last week. Obviously, it was a big week.
Yeah.
At the PGA Championship, Wentworth. I thought, first of all, the golf course just looked magnificent. I don't think it's ever looked as good as it has. Moving it to September, massive coup.
Yeah.
Getting the 12 players from the Ryder Cup team, another massive coup.
Getting most of them up the top of the leaderboard, even bigger coup.
Yeah, and then pairing them all together as well.
Yeah.
I mean, great opportunity for Luke to maybe potentially work on some pairings. Nick and Paul talked a little bit.
I just thought that was just random. It was amazing how they came out.
I know. Didn't they do well? So we'd love to hear your thoughts on the PGA Championship and the pending Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup, which we'll come on to
this week.
Yeah, come on to. So let's talk about the people that let us down, shall we say, at the weekend. Muronk, first of all, he came out the traps flying Thursday, Friday, I think. To see him perform like that was commendable. To put the scores together, being up the top of the leaderboard, and then obviously sort of dwindled over the weekend. Any other players out there that you felt could have done better?
I mean, Højgaard didn't have a great week.
Did he?
It's a tough course, and it's a course that doesn't suit everyone's eye, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to come out after the rain delay and be faced with the 15th or the 17th tee shots, because you're looking just down a funnel. But yeah, and I think it's a tough one. I think in the main, if we're looking at the Ryder Cup team as a batch, I think great. Obviously in the States, Justin Thomas. The PGA Tour were very keen to tell us how well Justin Thomas was playing last week. So I think if you take them as a group, I think really good. But yeah, I feel for Muronk. He's got to be crestfallen, and to actually be out there after those first two rounds. Good on him, but it's just a tough course to keep this going. Look at Aberg, happened to him in the last round. It's just a hard course.
Let's move on to Rory, because I really want to talk about yet another week, and I'm going to keep giving him a tough time, because the guy just plays clearly within a comfort zone that he cannot break out of. You can build him up, talk him up all you like. Getting into a match play, I'm sure he's going to be fantastic at the Ryder Cup. I'm sure he is. He's free ball it as much, but yet again another big event coming in playing well. In Ireland, sticks it in the soup a couple of times, 3 times, and then comes up and has a good finish. Yet again another strong finish on the Sunday. What do you feel that he needs to do in his game to become the player that we all expect him to be?
I know, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm qualified to judge him too
much.
But
but you've seen enough golf, you know enough about the game.
I mean, I think it just feels like he feels like he made the score to get in the cut. So he birdied the last to get in the cut. So it almost feels like if there's a real either like Sunday where he's going at it and he's able to go at it, then he charges like the Open at Portrush. Lots on the line first round, gashes it, and then charges.
Yeah.
And so when he's on, he's flowing, he's going for it, he's just the best to watch. I think my biggest element is that short game side of things. I think it doesn't match up. The club face control, the distance control. Give him a driver to free will at it, poetry. But that's probably also the reason why his wedge game's off. And I know someone was saying about working on a bit of a fade. I would see that as working on the short game side of things. But that for me is the bit where wedges and control is just not as good as he should be at it.
I think he's certainly come out of that time where he was working with Pete, working with his old coach, and really searching for a game. Feels like he's come out of that, but there still feels like there's still a bit of a hangover. And I think Ewan Murray made a really good point. He talked about playing the draw, playing that draw he played into 14 on, 15 on, 14 on Friday, where he turned one in and it was a really good shot, and then freewheeled up and then played some strong holes.
Yeah.
I think he's played still too long trying to play swing and not be accepting of the fact that he gets a bit across it, he gets a little bit of a loopy draw, and he plays that golf. I think he's played his best golf as an amateur. Came out swashbuckling golf that we've seen, and we see him doing that on Sunday, and Saturday, shooting those scores. I'd just like to see him start to get away from golf coaches and start getting out there and on the range and start playing. And then maybe he is in that place now.
Sometimes it's about playing golf, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just a bit, I'd find it, that's why I give him a hard time, because it's like, no, you're better than this. It's a bit of a slap around the face like you did with me with the Vulcan and White the other day. But it is though, it's like, wake up, smell the coffee.
But is it a bit like, we've been talking about Charlie Hull the last few weeks as well, and it feels like she now knows who she is, and all of a sudden look at that and she's seconds, but it's up there. It's almost like she's gone, I accept some of my quirks because I now know what I'm dealing with, and suddenly, wow, I mean, she's really starting to look like she could really fulfill the potential.
So nice segue there to the Solheim Cup.
Unintentional,
I know you teed it up, but I'll just smash it out of the park. The Solheim Cup, obviously a big week.
Yeah.
Not a massive fan of the golf course, Big Courtesan. I think it's a rotten venue for a Solheim Cup. But it's going to be fantastic conditions. It's going to be in the sunshine. What are you expecting from the girls this week? Could we do it again?
I think we've got. I think we've got a great team. I think there's some players who are on form. I think I would look at the American team. I don't think the American team is as strong as it has been in the past. Just again, in terms of players that are on form, and it's coming over to Europe. And I think with how well we did with no crowds last time, you suddenly put a vocal. I mean, the European crowds are vocal. You get the Olays, and I just feel like it might not be backed up by anything. I just feel like there's a bit of momentum behind European ladies golf at the moment. You look at Celine Boutier winning the major, Charlie's up there regularly. Some of the Swedish girls, Madeline Sagström, playing great golf and consistent great golf. And I think the Americans haven't been as consistent. So we're gonna win.
I played up against Madeline Sagström in the Sunningdale Foursomes about 3 years ago when I played with a lady I used to coach. Impressive player, bullet straight, just. And from 6-8 feet, and this was in March around Sunningdale when the greens are like washboard, quick, but like a washboard, bumpy. Just bowled it in for fun. Just such a good player, nice lady as well, and nice to see her golf. She started to get some momentum up, swings it beautifully. I think got a really good chance of taking it again. Got some lovely questions coming in. David Edwards, Simon, how do you feel shaft weight and swing weight of a club affects the path?
So the way it affects the path is how a player can stay in control and in balance. So if the player and the club are in sync, then the player can stay in posture, and then you can deliver it on a more neutral pattern. The club weight gets out, then it's going to throw your posture out into if it gets heavy, you've got to get the club going that way to the ball, so inevitably the posture goes that way. It's where that shaft shagging phrase comes. That's of early extension, and then you hit the ground or you flip at it too light, and you can it doesn't quite throw over the top, but the plane gets a little bit steeper, and then you've got to come out of it. So it's really about balancing forces and allowing the player to stay in posture to then be able to deliver it neutrally. So heavy, you can throw it over the top and throw your shoulder and get out to in. So it doesn't mean light doesn't mean out to in and heavy mean in to out. They just tend to be more that way. But it's how it affects your plane, and that affects the delivery in the path.
Well answered. Norwegian Warhound, our favourite tagline. What modus model suits someone working on swinging based off Stuart's The Mad Scientist coaching? Norwegian, what are you talking about? I'm not talking about
audio scientist. That was
I quite like the shaft. Best wishes, guys. Back to work for me.
The problem is that there isn't an answer to that. You've got the Modus 105, with the Modus model, you've got the Modus 105, 120, 115, 125, 130. So, and they all have different qualities, weights. Ultimately, the weight's the bit that's going to give you the control. So if you're someone who pulls on the handle, you tend to need a little bit heavier and a more tip-heavy balance. If you're someone who's more or less kind of handle pull, less arm dominant, that's the way I would describe it. You might hate me describing it like that. But and is more of a kind of a body speed generator rather than a kind of hitter, then generally a slightly lighter weight or a slightly higher balance. But ultimately, you just have to come over and have a fitting.
Yeah, you absolutely have, Norwegian. We've given you enough shout-outs on here. And incidentally, look, we deliver a wonderful product to you every week. There's only 60% of you that are subscribers. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and stay with us every week at Monday.
Went all personal into the
camera.
I know. Softly spoken as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So let's talk about the Ryder Cup. It's a big week.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows too much about the golf course. I mean, there's track down range.
A lot of rough.
There's a lot of rough. Yeah. I think it's not the most exciting golf course to look at outside looking, but I think when it's a tournament like the Ryder Cup,
get
the stands going to get some nice. What do you anticipate about the week ahead?
So course-wise, I think it's a great viewing course. That's one thing that everyone said. I think the crowds, those that are going, one, make a good bit of noise, and two, I think you're going to get great views. I think that's one of the things that unanimously people have said. I hope it's a really good match play course. Yeah. I think it might be one of those courses where you go, it's not a great medal course, but it's a great match play course.
Yeah.
I think it might be that. And that last hole for a bit of drama and a bit of water and a par 5 down the hill, I hope enough matches get there. But I think, like ever, it's going to be close. It's not, the score can be a walkover sometimes, but actually the match is always going to be close. And the best golf you ever see are at Solheim Cup and Ryder Cup for the men's and ladies game, or just generally for the game, because they can go at it a bit more. So I think it's going to be a brilliant watch.
I think it's amazing when you watch back over every Ryder Cup, how often, bearing in mind, we've got so few golfers on the course, and yet you see so many either going in, stiffed, like it's just, I was talking to one of the clients in the gym earlier. He played with Victor Perez at Queenwood Club around the corner. When you watch these guys on TV and they're playing the BMW, for instance, they're playing a huge golf course. They are huge players, and they make the golf course look like the club golf course around the corner. You don't appreciate how far they hit it, how big a player they are, until you stand right on the tee next to them and you watch him blast it down there and blow it down there. When they then go to the golf course that they're going to in Italy, playing in front of those crowds, they're all on their game, and yet they can still perform under that much pressure. And then you go, wouldn't it be interesting to stick one of them back at tour school? I mean, they would lap the field at tour school. It just shows, even at the tour level, the level upon level upon level upon level. And you see it. I mean, James Morrison, great player, did well.
But 11 under, so it went with last week.
But again, you could see with how big the event was, and you saw it with a few players, they started to get a whiff of the lead, and it was a bit nervous Neris, and it's understandable. It's a big event, right? But it just shows you the Ryder Cup is the pinnacle of team golf, the pinnacle of all golf, arguably. I mean, bigger than major championship. I mean, certainly Colin Montgomery would say that. The adrenaline that it creates because you're playing for a team compared to playing for yourself really offers up something different.
It's such a unique event, yeah. And I think that's something that they all say. It's like, Rory initially didn't really get the Ryder Cup, and then you played and you went, oh yeah, this is really cool. So I think, the fact that you're playing for other people, you're not just playing for yourself. And as you said, the quality of golf, both at Solheim and Ryder Cups, second to none. And I think in that environment where they create bonds for life out of those events. And I think it's such exciting golf to watch. Non-golfers will watch Ryder Cup because it's just one of, if not the best event globally. You've got Ryder Cup, you've got Olympics, you've got probably Football World Cup. It's right up there in those kind of echelons. Yeah,
we've got lots of questions coming through. So David Brett, thank you so much. What about me? What about me, Dave? I was here. I was involved in that little shout out. But thank you, Simon. She's gone to bed with a big smile on her face. That's great to hear. Mauser, never heard of the term shaft shagging. but not only that, he says premium information.
Yeah. I mean,
hit the like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Ben Rathmel, hi. Can you tell me quick similarities between the Modus 105 and the KBS C-Taper Light? Over to you, Simon.
So C-Taper Light in the 105 is a very similar weight. They're both quite tip balanced. So the C-Taper Light isn't a tip stiff shaft like the C-Taper is. It's designed with a bit more release, but the balance is very much in the bottom end. But it's going to feel a little bit harder. Modus, because the handle's a bit softer, you're going to get a bit more feedback. Both great shafts. But yeah, the Modus is going to feel like it gives you a little bit more back. The C-Taper Light in the 105 with the matching weight is going to feel a little bit tighter. In theory, launch and spin differences are really going to be minimal. But the C-Taper Light probably still swings a little bit heavier, but a slightly firmer feel over the C-Taper Light, smoother out the 105 Modus.
Niels Axelson is going to the Ryder Cup now. How about we do a Zoom live with Niels live from the Ryder Cup on his first? If he's there on a Monday, could be a quick 10-minute Zoom call with Niels.
I thought you were going wrong there because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you called the Monday.
It's going to be there on the Monday. If you're going there on the Monday, let us know. If you're going there that Monday, Niels, a little 10-minute Zoom call of his first.
I mean, if we do it at 6 p.m. and he's at the Ryder Cup, that could have a couple of shandies.
More than likely, and we need to get the audience involved in these Zoom calls.
Definitely.
Yeah, and mostly filled up with lager and wine. Anyway, so that's great to hear you're heading over there. Ben says, have the Modus in 5 and 6 iron and 7 pitching wedge are C-Tapers. Hit all irons well, but would love a fitting to see which are technically better.
Come on,
where we are, Ben. I mean, what do we want to do? I mean, we're producing quality productions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
New terminologies.
Get yourself down. Yeah. Get yourself down. Mauser, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to come up with a better tagline than that. Was Aberg's capitulation on Sunday a worrying sign with the pressure of the Ryder Cup coming up?
I don't think so. No. I don't think so. I think the fact that he won when it was all on the line in Switzerland and the way he did it, I think that, and we also have the back of knowing his amateur career, how he finished things off. I don't think that's worrying. I think that's just a case of he played so well the first 3 days, it just petered out a little bit on that course, and maybe with the rain, things like that. I don't know, but it doesn't worry me. I think his all-around game is that good. Don't think that's a concern, personally.
When he stood on the 8th, and I think it was the 3rd round, when he stood on the 8th, I was fortunate enough to be a member at Wentworth for a good few years. He stood on the 8th off the back tee and whipped iron over the crossbrook there, and then went in with a wedge. It's like
280 carry or something.
It's like no. It's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to. He has got all the quality, the power, and to be able to go into. You've got to bear in mind. I mean, this guy has played no professional golf.
Yeah, what was this week? Last week was about his 12th event, wasn't it?
No professional golf. Yeah, he's had a win. He was leading the biggest tournament in Europe. The guy's got. I mean, they're huge, aren't they? I mean, they're gold. They're huge. So I think he's. I think he's the real deal.
So-
I mean, I think I'm going to make I think he's going to eclipse Rory's majors within the next 10 years.
So here's a question. So I was playing a match yesterday, and after the lunch, one of the questions was, if it's foursomes first, who's the first European pair you'd put out?
I go McIlroy and Aberg.
Foursomes.
Foursomes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hovland and Rahm, mine.
Oh right. Okay.
Got power.
Okay. Yeah.
Power pair.
Well, but I think you've got to. I think if you. I mean, arguably you say, look, you front load it and go in hard, and they
I was going like
bad.
biggest pair out first.
Yeah.
That was the nature of the.
Yeah, I think
Might not be the right way to do it.
No,
That's the question. Yeah.
get them in their speedos on the first tee, puff their chests out, and send them on their way. But I think I think you've got to, on the back of what's gone on last year, we've got to go up front, big team, big pairings, push them out, and let's go attack the Americans. Norwegian Warhound says, I'm saving
before and after.
Sorry. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
on the next comment.
You can't jump comments. You can't
I
jump
just went
comments.
For the biggest one.
Norwegian Warhound says, I'm saving up, guys. Well, we are ready and waiting. Stuart has me playing the best I have in years. If he's playing the best because he's subscribed to my YouTube channel, Intelligent Golf Performance.
Just been to Home Depot and bought a load of brooms.
Shameful plug. Yeah, get on my broom video series. Love the channel, guys. Take care. Love to have you along as usual. Niels Axon says, I'm there both Mondays. Oh, I can certainly take a few drinks for you guys. but event only opens from Tuesday to Sunday. So live broadcast from the course is unfortunately impossible.
Well, we might have to do a kind of a follow-up. Monday post Ryder Cup.
Wouldn't that be great?
From Insider.
Yeah. Niels, fancy coming on the show the week after the Ryder Cup on the Monday? 10-minute interview. You give you time to do your hair, bit of makeup on, and let's get you on.
Get over the hangover from the win the night before.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're going to win it.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Tom Ashmore, thoroughly enjoyed my fitting with Simon. That's a first. That's a first, isn't it? No, joking.
First fitting, yeah. Only started the job today.
Enjoyed my fitting with Simon Thursday last week. Looking good for Europe with the performances this weekend at Wentworth. Yeah, I agree. Niels is in. Niels is in. This is fantastic news. Drop us an email and we will get your details and get you hooked up. And anyone else that fancies
we're fine with Niels because he's techers. He'll have some kind
he'll be able to infiltrate
some kind of proper camera setup, and
brilliant.
Yeah, by then the leash line will be in as well. So all sorts of goodies.
Peter Cantor says, I teed off at 11:40 yesterday and finished at 6 p.m. Can I now turn pro? Yes, you can, Peter. Yes, you can. How many balls did you lose?
Oh, cheeky. Cheeky now with the way he's playing. God.
No, he sent me.
We need to get. Peter said he'd come on one of these.
Yeah, let's get him on.
Share the journey.
Well, Peter's brother, of course, is 5 Live football commentator as well, Johnny Cantor. So let's get them both on, Johnny and Peter.
We can get Peter in the bay and Johnny commentating. How about
that? Yeah, could you imagine? That would be brutal.
Brotherly love.
That would be brutal. Yeah. So what's the prediction for the score for the Ryder Cup? throw in your predictions, everyone.
14.5, 11.5 to Europe. I'm going strong.
14.5, 11.5.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Home turf, home advantage. Players are playing well. Get some.
No, do you know what? I can see that.
I was going to go conservative and go 14-12.
No, I can see that actually. I can see that.
1.5 points differential either way.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that. I'm going to go 14.5, 14.
Technically impossible.
Sorry, 14.5, 13.5. 14.5, 13.5. I was throwing in a few comedy points.
Is that doable as well? Or would it be 12-12? Or was it 30? What wins?
14 retains, because if it's 14 always a tie, right?
You see the maths works for us. Big fans 14. Of the Ryder Cup. Can't get scoring right.
Yeah, it's a team game. Who cares? Anyway, I think we'll win.
We're going to win. Yeah.
I'm on 14.5 Europe as well. Yeah. Well,
right, let's start that one out.
Yeah, start that one out. So, what's coming up for Precision Golf in the winter, we've got the Winter League.
Winter League, yeah.
Got the Winter League.
6 of those this year.
Six of those.
Yeah.
October, November, December, January, February, March. 6.
I've just seen a venue that we might need to switch around that's just
Okay.
gone on that we talked about last time.
Ah, right. Okay. Like that. So winter leagues, we have 5 fitting bays, all TrackMan simulators, 4 in a bay, evenings with nibbles, a few drinks.
Well, nibbles, if it's anything to do with James, are about 400 pizzas.
400 pizzas, sliding around on pepperoni. Come down, play in a bay, and the best 3 of your 6 scores has a chance to win a holiday, which is going to be announced on the first night, sponsored by our trusted travel partners, Golf Escapes.
Now, we want you to play all 6, but you can just play 3.
Yes, and
You just got to play well on all 3.
And we've really upped the ante as well. We've got Golf Genius on board, so you can now register, pay, and get live leaderboards, all the live championship on the app. So do let us know if you'd like to be involved in that, and we'll post up a little link. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to put the link in the description of this live. So if you want to sign up, it'll be in the link. And of course, we've got the other thing. And hold that thought.
I wondered where you were going. This now makes more sense why you went around the side there. Stuart's going to be hoping for a better performance this year, aren't you, Stuart?
We are going to be playing the 2nd edition of the Team Challenge Trophy at Costa Navarino.
Yeah.
And it's a month later this time.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't been, give us a shout out for those of you that have been to Costa Navarino, because it's an absolutely spectacular venue. 5 teams. You are now becoming a captain.
Yeah.
If I finish,
practice, aren't I? Jeepers.
My team and I finished last. Paul Nestling won. Yeah, loser. We finished last.
Yeah, James was cheering.
Yeah, James was
he
the winner.
was on the winning side.
Yeah, James was. I think, did you rig that somewhere? Anyway, so great event. Teams of we're aiming for teams of 12. We've got 5 teams, so there's going to be 60 of us. But the beauty of it is that because we're in teams of 12, it still feels a really nice small event. Yeah. Playing over 3 different golf courses. In the evening, we have shootouts, long drives, and all that kind of stuff, all going towards the team prize. Bit of coaching with your pro as well, and you get to play with your pro and within your team. So it's a great fun event. I was so happy with the way it turned out last year.
It was. Yeah, it was almost one of those you went, oh God, how are we going to get that one better? They went great. We had such a lovely group of people who came, ladies, men, all sorts of ages, all sorts of playing handicaps, and the most important thing is everyone's there to have competitive fun. Obviously, not really fun between us. We all want
of course not.
Want to ruin one another. but it's a great location. The quality of the hotel, the courses, but how everyone bonded. I thought that was fantastic. And you say being in teams, the first evening, last evening, everyone's together. But outside of that, dinner within teams and things like that.
What blew me away was the ability for them to take your clubs when you walked off the 18th, and then they'll just magic themselves. At the shootouts in the evening, and then the next day they're on the trolley or on the buggy by the first tee or by the practice ground with the pairings that I organised, but they had all the documents. It was just spectacular, the organisation of that. For such a large venue to be able to have that kind of infrastructure was spectacular.
Yeah, and this year we're going to be playing one of the courses, if I'm right, one of the courses we didn't play last time.
The Olympic.
Which is one of the ones that's right on the top of the cliff, and the views. That was where we did one of our videos from March when we went.
That's right.
The backdrop is just sensational. If you're not playing great golf, just turn around and look at the view.
It was handy that we could stand up in that interview because we supped some wine the night before. But anyway, we won't talk about that. Ugliest iron.
So we didn't pay for it. So.
Mauser says, good question. Ugliest irons ever made. I'll offer up my old Ping Zing 2s, or they were nasty, as a starter. That said, we won 4 club championships with them. So
well, yeah, but they look quite pretty after that, don't they?
Yeah, well,
Ugliest irons ever
I mean,
made.
you've got to go with the Cleveland Vass, right? I mean, Cleveland Vass were just wretched.
For those that don't know, those are the ones that Corey Pavin won the
Yes.
US Open with that have basically an anti-shank nozzle on them.
Yeah.
Ugliest irons ever made.
and
There
if you
are some wood-like irons that are pretty ugly.
And if
But,
you
yeah, they
had,
work.
but if you had a set of those Cleveland Vass and you did manage to shank them, do let us know.
They would look pretty ugly at that point, definitely.
I mean, they were pretty wretched, weren't they? The Cleveland Vass, the Ping Zing 2s. I mean, they
very different, weren't they?
yeah,
Kind of angular.
Very angular.
I think there've been some real attempts at some hideous-looking things over the years in the name of engineering. But I think they go to show actually how important looks are to everything. So it's not like prettiest head someone's going to go for a mirror blade or a tightness blade, and it's always the pro style blades. But yeah, ugliest head.
Apart from mine.
The Cleveland Halo ones weren't exactly pretty. They were just a bag of hybrids.
I don't remember.
So I don't know whether that technically, I mean, they worked, but,
Really?
but yeah, you'd have to put up with some stick on the first tee, that's for sure.
Yeah, pretty wretched. Give us some insights into what you suspect is coming in the back end of the year into the new season. Who do you think might be some shakers and movers on the forefront of club specs and tech?
I mean, they're going to be launches from every brand come the new year. So all the usual suspects, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping have just about to do a bit of a product launch soon, some irons. They're all going to be launching product. I think you've seen some of the pictures of the Ping iron that technically I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's one that I think Hatton was playing. It's a forged head. So they're going back down that route, and that'll be an interesting one.
Oh, interesting.
I think for me, what will be interesting is how TaylorMade progressed the carbon face on the driver, which this year's been a little bit less consistent, I think, than first generation. And normally you see an improvement in the second gen of a technology. So see how they continue to develop that. That'd be really interesting. And so there are a load of images on Instagram of certain Japanese brands irons for next year. I think I just don't see how there's, certainly in the iron market, there's massive revolution within, as we just said, a visual of a head that looks quite nice. I think you've got to go there with something a little bit out there to make a really big difference. But they're all going to be doing stuff. And say Callaway irons just come out.
How do you envisage them pitching it? I mean, they can't push the distance anymore. They can make it look more sexy, but that's not going to sell.
Yeah,
do you think?
I think there is an element that it does. I think some of the heads, like Titleist's latest range, is a much cleaner, simpler look, and people like it to look nice in the bag. And I think if you can package up some tech with a really clean look, I think now people don't necessarily want to see stuff shouting loudly in the bag. Actually, certainly with the irons, slightly kind of pared back look is definitely a good thing. But I think what we are seeing is brands producing higher launching irons. I think that's to go back from the just pound it as far as possible and oh no, it won't stop, to hang on, we need higher launching irons. So that's been a massive change this last year or so.
Please bring back higher launching irons. Please bring back higher launching irons. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this evening. We've covered a range of topics. We are here every Monday night at 6 p.m. I personally really enjoy these. I find them
great.
so exciting.
Love the interaction, all the questions. I think that's so fun to get that in. Yeah.
And look, I know I was joking around earlier about the subscribers, but do subscribe, because really we want to grow this channel bigger and better. We want to bring you even greater guests. Now, you will know that the bigger subscriber list we have, the better guests we can get. And we'd really love to bring those guests to you, because there is resistance from guests to come on because we haven't got the reach at the moment. But we're going to get there.
Oh, we'll get there.
We will get there.
They'll realise.
Absolutely. So do give us a like and
thank you for all your support. Those that have been on regularly, it's been the questions coming in. It's great to see. So thank you.
It's lovely seeing the same faces, isn't it? And anyone that feels a bit shy and retiring, do throw a question down there, because we'll always get back to it. From Simon and I, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you next week.